What is up, guys? Today we are picking up a new project truck. So we're getting the truck loaded up. I got my tools because we got to take some stuff apart. I made this way of moving trucks around. It's a trailer hitch that goes into a 2-inch receiver, and then I have a ball for our forks. So we got to hook up to the trailer and then we'll be on our way. So I didn't record a lot while we were there in terms of loading the truck, but these are a couple pictures of what it looked like when it got there. Obviously it has that big spraying unit in the back, so we had to go ahead and take that out. And then here's a couple pictures of it once we got it up on the trailer, out of its home for the last 30 years. As you can see, there's no tailgate on it, which I was a little bummed about that. I ended up finding the tailgate, so here's a picture of the tailgate in the bed of my truck. That was pretty awesome, the fact that I was able to find that. I saw it out of the corner of my eye. That lunar green stuck out like a sore thumb against the white and all the other dark colors. So super cool that we were able to find that. It is a 1967 Ford F250. I found the tailgate. None of the pictures had a tailgate because that sprayer was sticking out of the bed. And I asked him, he's like, I don't know, like, it's like I might have seen it over there. There were some other tailgates. I went over there and I was looking around. I'm like, man, there's so much snow on the ground, it's buried. And then I saw that teal sticking out from behind like 3 other tailgates, and I was like, that's gotta be it. So I went over there, started peeling tailgates away, and there it is, sure enough. So I got the tailgate for it, which is a huge bonus because finding one that's gonna match the color and the patina and everything would have been really hard to do. So let's go ahead and get it back to the shop and we'll look it over. All right, we just got back to the shop. There she is. I'm gonna go ahead, clean the snow out of it and get her unloaded and put her in the shop. Here she is in all of her glory. This is a F250 two-wheel drive. It's a 67. They had different badges in 67. There's also no reflector in the front or in the rear. This door is pretty beat up, which is unfortunate, but the doors open nice. Interior's not too bad. This is a lunar green. Doors close. Super nice. I didn't even slam it or anything. I just barely pushed it and it closed. I'm not sure if this was an option for the camper specials, but there's no in-cab fuel tank. It's in the bed. It's a big boy. It runs from underneath the cab all the way to behind the wheel well. Found the tailgate in a field. I was like hoping that I could find the tailgate, and I did, because it's pretty hard to match the patina and the color of this truck. I rolled this window down just to steer. This flat tire was giving me a total troubles unloading and moving it into the shop. If you couldn't tell, I kept having to turn the wheel because it kept turning back the wrong way. This side is pretty straight. I think we have a couple dents in the bump there, and then there's some rust right there. I think the other side is the same, but all in all, Shelby's gonna love opening these doors because she hates my brick nails because they're super hard to open. But again, like, they don't make them like they used to, you know. It's like, oh, that didn't do it that time. Like, yeah, we're gonna need a new mirror, it looks like. All in all, she's a good rig. So I am going to throw some Marvel Mystery in the cylinders. The registration on this truck was from '93. So your guess is as good as mine as to when it last ran. It is a 352, not the inline sixes. So that's pretty cool. I need to grease those hinges as well. We have no cleaner on it, so that's concerning. Hopefully we didn't get any moisture down the intake. Probably did. But for now, I'm gonna pull the spark plugs out and put some Marvel Mystery down there, and then cover the intake so we don't get any moisture as this thaws out overnight. But it looks like we have everything here. These plug wires have definitely seen better days. They're not connected. So I think I have a set of plug wires laying around. Just gonna go ahead and see if we can get the old girl started. We're gonna need a battery as well, it looks like. I should have another one of these positive cables laying around too. So yeah. So I just started cleaning out the interior, and originally I wasn't gonna show this whole process, but look how clean these rockers are. No rust on there. There's barely even any rubbing off of paint from where you're stepping in. And these floor mats in here, you know, you have a little bit of tear through, but those are some of the cleanest floor mats I've seen on a truck this old. A lot of times they're just torn and garbage and you can't do anything with them, but this one I can definitely reuse. So I went ahead and got the interior cleaned out, both sides. I got the tailgate put on. It's actually kind of interesting. Newer style tailgates, they have a circle on one side and then kind of a D on the other side with an opening, and then you can just put the circle in with the circle, and then the D side will just slip in. These ones I actually had to take one of the hinges off because they're both sides are circles, so you can't just maneuver it in. You have to take the hinge off, put the tailgate in, then bolt the hinge back on. So tailgate is on. It definitely needs adjusting. This gap isn't good. It looks like it's sitting too low down there. So we will get to that eventually, but for the time being, we've got to work on getting this motor running. I went and looked in my parts area. I found some fuel hose, some vacuum line. I found these spark plug wires, but I think these are for a Chevy. But I also have this box of spark plug wires we're going to try. I found a new starter solenoid in the back in case we need that. I found a bunch of different battery cables. I have some Autolite spark plugs here. So we should have enough parts laying around here to get the truck running. Driving and stopping is a different question. I might actually have to go buy some parts for that, but we will find out. And I have a used battery here off of one of our boats that I'm gonna be using to just turn her over. I didn't get a battery with this truck, and even if there was a battery in it, it'd probably be bad. So we're gonna use this one for the time being and go from there. All right, so our first thing we're gonna do is take out the battery cables and switch them because they are very bad. So our ground cable just goes to our alternator bracket, and then Shelby and I just tried to see if the truck would turn over, and it wouldn't, and we just had a click coming from our starter solenoid. So we're going to pull the starter solenoid out as well, and switch the solenoid out and this positive battery cable. Okay, so we put a new starter solenoid in and got everything hooked up. Put some new battery cables on. Those are hooked up as well. Now Shelby's gonna go in the cab, turn the key, and we're gonna see what happens. Good. See how it turns over now? Mm-hmm. So now we have verified. Make sure you turn the key off so we don't kill the battery. Now we verified that the starter solenoid is good and our starter is working. And we're good to move on to our next one. All right, our next step is we're gonna pull the spark plugs out. You can learn a lot about how a motor was last ran by the spark plugs based on color, and if there's a bunch of carbon buildup. It might be having oil being burnt in one cylinder, might be running too rich in a cylinder. So we're gonna go ahead and pull all of our spark plugs out. We're gonna keep them in order from what cylinders they came in so we can kind of look at how the motor's running across the board. And then we're gonna replace the spark plugs, and we're gonna replace the wires because mice have been chewing on these plugs, and this side is no longer connected, and half of the ones on this side are connected. So we're gonna go ahead and replace those with some new ones. All right, so we got our spark plugs pulled out, and they don't look too bad. We have a new one on each side, which is a little concerning. As you can tell, this one's like brand new. And then over here, we have this one as well that's new. And this one looked kind of bad, but the rest, you know, none of them have carbon buildup preventing spark or anything. So we'll have to watch those cylinders, the ones that have brand new spark plugs, to see if maybe the previous owner put spark plugs in there because they're having issues with fouling plugs. But for now, we have new spark plugs that we're going to be putting in. So now we're putting all of our spark plug wires on. So we've got our diagram here that tells us our firing order, because I'm not an old school hot rod guy that remembers those things. We're going to go ahead and put them on in order. So our next one is 6. Just going to come down. Alright, so we got all of our plugs changed, plug wires on. We tested our spark with a spark plug tester, and we have spark, so it means our points are good. We put some 50-to-1 mix, 2-stroke gas down the carburetor. That'll help lubricate everything after it's being started. So now we're going to pump the throttle and see if it starts. Wanted to start. We're going to go ahead and take the fuel line off and run a new fuel line from the fuel pump to a gas can with some good fresh gas in it, and see if we can get gas to pump through that fuel line. If we can't, then our fuel pump's bad, but we will see. Just ran.
Oh?
Yeah. No fuel coming out of it?
No.
So Shelby and I got her running. I ended up trying to pour some fuel on it, and it all just leaked out because the fueler neck hose is bad. So I dropped the tank out. I got a new vent hose, new filler neck hose. I'm gonna go ahead and put those on. There's also a hole in the gas tank, so I'm gonna weld the gas tank hole closed, reinstall everything, and we'll be good to fill it up. All right, got the fuel tank pulled out. This is our hole we're gonna be plugging. So I'm just gonna go ahead, grind it, clean it up. I'll plug that hole in, and I'll probably cut out a piece to weld on top of it. Got my patch panel welded in. It's not the prettiest because this stuff is pretty pitted and rusted. I got it cleaned up as best I could, welded in as best I could. It definitely should hold fuel. So now I'm gonna go ahead, wait for it to cool off, then I'll throw it back in. So I got the fuel tank, everything put back together, threw 5 gallons of gas in there. I found a bad ground on the sending unit, so it's possible our fuel gauge might work now. I don't think I put enough fuel in there. Oh, it's going, it went up a little bit, so that must be working. Truck starts right up. It's got taking a minute to pump the fuel from the tank up to the motor. I don't know if our oil pressure gauge works or not. It's possible we don't have oil pressure, but this thing just runs pretty good. Runs pretty dang good. So I had her running, and I went and hit the gas and revved it up a little bit, and I heard this clank, 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 clank. Every time I revved it up, it went clank, 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 clank. And I was like, crap, what is that? I hope it's not the bottom end. It ended up being a rat's nest in my bell housing. I pulled the inspection cover off, and this rat's nest fell out. I started up, revved it up again, noise went away completely. So here's where we're at now. Quick fire. It runs pretty smooth. I got a slight exhaust leak. Other than that, listen to that big block goodness. It does have a muffler on it, the factory one. Pretty much, this thing's pretty much completely bone stock. But she's running. Got my radiator filled up. I haven't got it to temp yet, so it's not going to start bleeding, but I'm re-watching that to see if my thermostat does open. I might need to hit it with a hammer to get that to loosen up, otherwise I might need to replace it. I also need to check and make sure that we are charging. That alternator doesn't look too bad, but you never know. So I will keep you guys updated, but fuel tank went in smooth. We don't have any leaks. It's looking pretty good. Super excited. Still don't have any oil pressure, so I think that gauge is just bad, or the sensor's bad. None of these gauges are working at all. All I have is, oh, I don't even have turn signals anymore. But, oh, there it is. That's all I got for turn signals. And I think some of the lights work. Nope, tail lights don't work. So we got a lot of wiring ahead of us. Here she is, out in all her glory. After 32 years of sitting in a field, she ran, she drove out of the shop, and pulled into this spot. It's a good looking truck. All these trucks end up being parked for a reason. And normally when you end up buying them, you don't really ever know what the reason is. This one started right up. Transmission works. Brakes are coming back slowly. I'm definitely gonna have to redo them because that's a safety thing. But I did notice a clanking noise when I revved it up. Pulled the inspection cover off. Originally I thought it was just a rat's nest in there, but Once I got the truck out and cleaned up the shop, I found a spring on the floor. This, I think, came out of that inspection cover. So it has the same looking rat's nest on it that was in there. Not sure if this is part of the clutch or what. I haven't driven it enough to see if the clutch is slipping. It felt all right. The motor's not running the best right now. I need to do some tuning to it. There's a slight misfire that's going on. I gotta find that. I got my timing set. That carb honestly probably needs cleaned pretty good, but she's doing good. I mean, she started right up this morning. No choke. Neutral. And then now it's like idle is a little low too, but that has to do with the timing because it is misfiring. But Shelby kept making comments about how it's too quiet. It does have that big boy muffler on it still. I think it is a factory muffler, but it looks to be in really good condition. Patina on it is super sweet. We did reveal some rust in that fender well. This one has an auxiliary tank, which it's starting to rust out around there. So we're gonna have to take this down to get the whole bed pressure washed out before it gets any worse. There's a small bit of cancer there. Obviously the damage on this door. This headlight bezel looks a little bent up. This one's got a dent right there. Some more rust on this side. The bottom of the bed's rusted out on the support, so someone put in their own support. I think that's pretty much it. This side, they didn't end up putting any support in, but it is rusted out. I was really surprised by how clean the rockers are. I mean, the bottom of the doors, not rusted at all. I looked underneath on the rockers, there's no rust. The cab corners, a little bit between the bed. Not much though. It's honestly pretty clean. The floorboards, which I was most surprised about, the floorboards are solid. There isn't any surface rust on the bottom side. I haven't looked at the top side for surface rust, but I did pull this back and there's a lot of paint on there still, so it doesn't look too bad. So yeah, these doors are just mint. So nice. So this is gonna be a fun little project. We haven't quite decided what we're gonna do with it yet. Whether we should lift it, put it on tons and 40s and make it a rock crawler, or if we should slam it and just make it a good street truck to match Shelby's Mustang. Not sure yet. Leave a comment and let us know what you guys think we should do with it, and we'll go from there. This is a camper special F250. It is a 67. I know that because 67, they have different badges. They have reflectors up here normally. There's also no reflectors in the front quarter. The back bedside has no reflectors. The grill, it's the same thickness bars the whole way through. The later ones have a thicker middle bar. The hood has supports on the back corners on each side. That's a 67 specific thing. I decoded the VIN. It says that it's supposed to come with a 352, which matches the V8 that's in there. You can't really tell the difference between a 352 and a 360 because they're the same stroke length. They're just a different bore. So it could be a 360, but considering the whole truck is stock, it's most likely a 352. I do have the front wheel. The tire is just destroyed on it, so I threw this spare on there just for the time being. We only have the front hubcaps, and this one is seen better days, so I think I'm gonna end up just taking those hubcaps off and hanging them up in the shop because they're pretty cool and they fall off most of the time. But yeah, she's a good little truck. Shelby and I are gonna have to do some cleaning in the next episode. Probably take the seat out, vacuum, take the rubber floor mats out, vacuum everything, clean everything with soapy water. I'd like to try to reuse that floor mat, but it might just be too nasty and dirty, but we'll see how much we can clean it. Glove box. Oh, I closed it and now it won't open, so have to look into that. We definitely have a bunch of wiring stuff we got to figure out too. It has 2 radios in it. The factory one doesn't work. The vents don't work for the heat. I need to get an armrest for that door, new dash pad. Unfortunately, I can't find anyone that makes these lunar green armrests. So I might just be getting a black dash and black armrests and a wooden steering wheel. And then I might get the seat redone black just to match that. But we will see what happens and we will keep you guys updated. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.